Gulf Travel Show presents an enlightening panel discussion on how the GCC market leaders reimagine travel.
Hello, good morning to everybody there. I hope all of you are safe and looking forward to, 100% life's normalcy. Firstly, let me thank Travel Talk for organizing this virtual panel discussion. And the theme is the new normal. Reimagine your travel, dealing with the new normal. So we all know, I think it is almost 8 months ago when this COVID-19 pandemic kicked off, let me say like that. Everything came to a standstill. I believe all of you have experienced, so I don't want to tell you how bad it was. We had world's largest and strongest economy falling down. We don't know who's the world leading country or the world champion now. Every order has been changed. And needless to say, any such calamity in the globe happens, the first thing and the mostly affected business sector is aviation and travel industry. And COVID-19 was not so different. But lately, I think 3-4 months later, when governments relaxed the lockdown and allowed limited travel with certain conditions, be it the repatriation or the relief travel, you have been given the new norm to travel. It is actually wearing your mask, be it, having the PPE kit on board, be it doing multiple COVID tests for a one-leg journey. We have gone through crazy stuff and we used to call it new normal. It is not anymore new, it is the normal. And that is what we are discussing today. I think COVID-19 has changed the end-to-end passenger travel experience, maybe forever. I don't know, it is soon going to change back to normal, no, or maybe forever, we don't know that. Well, to discuss this particular subject today, we have 3 industries experts from the travel industry's ecosystem: transportation, accommodation, and travel insurance. Gentlemen, let me welcome 3 amazing travel industries experts here: Arijit Munshi, Sanjay Dsouza, and Binoy ouseph. I request you all to do a short introduction before we kick off to the show. Ori, it's your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Jamal. And I think you're absolutely apt and right that this is the norm of travel today, and it will remain for times to come. I think over the last couple of months, we have all realized the need and the importance of understanding how travel has impacted our economy, our journey in all facets, especially from this part of the world, because we house such a large portion of expats and foreign population. But before we go into further discussion, my name is Arijit Munshi, and I've been in the travel industry for the last, I think, I sometimes forget, it's about 25 years or so, right from airlines to technology to hotel industry, GDS, and now I step into the world of electronic distribution in terms of being a facilitator in this part of the world. And I provide technology to large players. And we are 100% B2B and supporting the travel industry in this region. Thank you, Mr. Jamal.
All right, over to you, Binoy.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Jamal. And it's a pleasure being in this platform. And as you said, yes, the COVID-19 pandemic has created an extraordinary challenge for the global economy, considering the adjust to the normal level of life. And the travel industry had been hit very bad, which we all know, and we are facing the challenges now. As said, we are being resulting in a level of disruption we have never seen before. but I think this is the time to change and bring to a normal situation. Thank you. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Binoy ouseph. I've been in the industry almost like 25 years, and been in the hotel sectors and with the travel B2B sectors, and specialized in accommodation part. Now concentrating on connectivity for iBeta B2B travel. Thank you.
Sanjay,
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sanjay Dsouza, and I'm the general manager for Sayara Car Rental and the limousine sector as well. I have the experience of 20 years in this particular industry. Moving from the car rental, we moved into various sectors, and with the pandemic around, I think the travel has been affected, and in line with travel, transportation does get hit a lot. In terms of people moving from one place to another, we are the people who take people from destination to destination within the country. So therefore, the limousine sector has been very badly hit. The passenger transport has been hit. But all in all, I think we're looking to a much better positive future going ahead. Thank you once again, Mr. Jamal, for having us on this panel.
right. Sanjay, then let me start with my first question. I've listed down a few questions here. So you said it has come to a standstill, but there must be some sectors with it, because there are winners in this pandemic too. Certain sectors have obviously made little money, and majority of us were losing. So I want to ask you: is there a sector you have seen some positive trend within your business? I mean, you are into leasing, you are into airport transfers, you are into different kind of ground transportation.
Actually speaking, Sayara basically has various sectors. We are into the retail sector, which deals with the daily, weekly rentals, which mainly for with all the tourism sector. We also have the corporate leasing, which is the next sector of our business. We also have the passenger transport. We also have the limousine, and we have the customized vehicles. Now, when you're looking in terms of the pandemic, certain sectors were very badly hit. In terms of the retail business, plus in terms of the travel and tourism. So what happened was, when these two were hit, there was an opportunity where we had ventured into. Now, the sectors that we gained were basically the leasing sector. People still remained in terms of leasing. They did not want to buy vehicles. They did not want to go in and invest their money. So what they did go in for a leasing part of it. And the main important thing that we had was a tremendous growth was the e-commerce sector. Everybody were at home. So what they did, end of the day, they needed things to reach their home, right from food to whatever they actually needed. And that's the sector we basically capitalized on. So we opened the customized vehicle sector. And that really helped in boosting the business during this particular season as well. Even though everyone were without work, we did have work. So there are a lot of positives that came out of the pandemic. It's not just the negatives.
Well,
that's how we stand.
So do you expect the current impact on travel industry, aviation industry, it's going to further impact your business, or you see a recovery in the line?
It's $1 million question, Mr. Jamal, because I mean, it's a very unforeseen scene. It depends on two sectors. It's either we get the vaccine or without the vaccine. So there are both the sectors. So it depends totally on what we're looking at. If we get it, yes, we are in a mode looking more positive to see that, as going forward, things will change. Things seem to be normalizing within the UAE. I mean, thanks to the government for taking a lot of steps, measures, and getting to some sort of normalcy within the country. And I think we are moving on a positive front. And yes, going forward, I think it's going to be an incline rather than a sort of decline.
Yeah. So My next question is to Binoy. Binoy, we all know that tourism also came to a standstill, no travel. But then things have started slowly in the form of staycations and all. But can you give me an overall idea of how did your sector impacted in the region, with the COVID-19? Yeah.
All right. The first of all, I would like to thank the tireless efforts the government had, healthcare authorities had given us. The region has succeeded in keeping case numbers relatively low, especially the UAE in particular, has quick to adopt rigorous testing as the key component, which has helped to minimize the impact on the crisis. With the development of the tourism industry established as a key priority of the nations across the region, governments also extended support measures and economic packages designed that helped us much more to come into the staycation spot. When it comes to the UAE, especially the trend in the UAE came into the start with staycations, which even if Abu Dhabi was locked down, still people were intent to travel into Abu Dhabi, into Ras Al Khaimah with the help of the tourism promotion boards, and UAE as such in Dubai and in Sharjah, even the promotion boards were doing excellent well. This gave us a chance into bringing the staycations much more better way. Most of the people were intent to travel and ask for a special pool villa, wherein you will have a limited number of pool villas which are available in the UAE, which gave us an intent to use a private pool. That came into force. Like if you might have seen, private pools were not that much famous in the UAE, but now it has become very famous in the UAE. So more villas and more hotels are bringing up private pools nowadays, which are more exactly what they want, the crowd want. So that makes a lot of impact in the industry, and the staycations helped us a lot. As well as the tourism sectors in the outbound side, when you look into the Turkey or when you look into Greece and when you look into Serbia, these sectors are little bit opened up. The cross borders has been opened up for certain destinations, which brought into a level of travelers getting a level of confidence. We call it a confidence that which gives you the bound to travel. If you don't feel a confidence level in traveling, I don't think the people will be much more excited to travel. This is which we were looking for. So we are trying to create a level of confidence to the nationals, to the citizens of UAE and elsewhere, so that they will be much more particular in concentrating on travel for the coming days.
Thank you, Binoy. Arijit, my next question to you. But before that, I know that you are the few winners from the pandemic. That's what I am experiencing in my business. I don't have to spend time or training on awareness of selling travel insurance anymore because it has become mandated by the authorities. So everyone is now value the insurance. So you must be one among the happiest person, one smiling face. So therefore, let me ask you, you've been leading Tune Protect EMEA now for 7 years.
Yes.
And from its inception, can you share some of your experience, what you went through, and let's have some fun added to it because we have been very serious discussions.
Thank you, Mr. Jamal Saab.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. It is 2014 when I took the leap of faith and started the organization with the Malaysian counterpart. And I remember the name Tune Protect, and that time it was called Tune to Protect. And our first travel industry customer was Air Arabia. But obviously, we wanted to grow the business, and the way to go was with the travel industry or the travel segment. And travel protection and travel assurance was growing there because obviously, I'm sure a lot of us are aware that especially when you travel to certain countries and specifically to the EU, you need a travel protection when you're going there. So the fact was, when I used to go around and meet some of the people whom I knew for the last 20, 25 years being in the region, they often, and the funny thing was, they looked at the name and they would say, hey, so you've joined a company which provides security to musicians. So that was quite an interesting, angle, which I never thought about. But yes, it has come a long way from where we started. And Tune Protect, or Tune, as is a very strong household name in the Asia Pacific region, and especially in Malaysia, where it's homegrown. But coming to that, I think one of the most important things I realized when I started going around talking to our travel industry partners across the region is the fact that a lot of them required products, or to be part of the travel journey of their traveler. And the single most important facet which came out was that one size does not fit all. So today, obviously, we're seeing the evolution even faster post pandemic. But the fact is that every single traveler has a different requirement. Before that, in fact, there were very standard travel protection or travel assurance programs. And that's where I immediately saw the opportunity to kind of cater to different needs. Because today in the travel industry, you have, and as all of you know, Mr. Jamal and Binoy and Sanjay, that you have a travel industry who is into a corporate segment, into leisure, into inbound. So it's a very different requirement. So that was one of the first thing which I learned, that is, this is what we should be doing, and trying to cater to the needs. Obviously, it's a very complex business, but that was one of the things which we started. And today I can proudly say we have about 14 to 15 different types of products catering to different types of customers. The second part, which I also realized, was I've often heard in all my years of experience, is listen to your customers. It's a very important aspect. And I think that helped us a lot, because as a startup, as growing in the organization and growing the organization here, you could make those changes. You could kind of get those simple parts of, things which a travel industry member or a user, a traveler needed, and we started incorporating that in our selling process. So I would say in the last 7 years, Mr. Jamal, I think those were the two most important learnings of my journey. That one is, one size doesn't fit all. And one is the fact that we need to really listen to our customers, and our customers being the travel industry partners. Thank you, Mr. Jamal.
Sanjay, I just wanted to ask you, within your industry, what was the new normal and which is into the now normal now? Can you briefly tell us?
Well, when I look at the new normal, it was basically everybody's ventured into sitting at home, ordering their stuff from their beds or from their entire living rooms. Now, this was the new normal. It was for a certain limit, but then over the period of pandemic, people actually sat down and looked into even the intrigues of getting their daily groceries brought home. Now, that has turned into the now normal. And this now normal has become a huge industry. Basically, the e-commerce has grown drastically. And with the e-commerce growing so drastically, I guess it always needs somebody to move their groceries from one place to another. And for sure, this is where we basically capitalized. And the new normal helped us to basically lease out a lot of trucks, the customized vehicles, the refrigerated vans, the insulated trucks, the small vans. So right from the groceries to the meats at home, where people were just missing their normal meat, going out and having it from the restaurants. Basically, everyone were getting it home, right from the restaurants, being delivering food home. So I think this is now become the now normal. I think everybody seems to be sitting down at home and ordering. Yeah, it's not good for health, but then we all put on weight. And but as time goes on, I think it's going to be the same thing that's going to become the now normal, and that's the trend going forward. And I can see Arijit has a very big smile on his face.
Yeah, that's true. And I can see that smile is coming slowly to you also, because you're also seeing this as an opportunity. Well, good enough.
You're absolutely.
Can you give me some key highlights or the strategies you applied to compact within the accommodation sector?
Yeah. Our goal is to provide guests, residents, and employees with the confidence and assurance that their health and safety is our first priority. In addition to the measures, we have all become familiar with, such as hand sanitizers, mask, high-attended cleaning, and hygiene. We are focusing on this, providing optimal care and comfort with the post-COVID-19.
Now,
When it comes,
no, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, please.
You can. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I have seen. You see, even now there is certain countries, especially in UAE, and all, we have a requirement of quarantine in certain emirates, and people have to quarantine in the hotels. Now, normally, from your experience, this quarantine happens, and also the normal accommodation happens in the same hotel, as far as I know. How do they differentiate people on quarantine? Are they put on a different floor? What can you tell us on that?
So it's basically the quarantine happens mostly the traffic moving towards Saudi Arabia as well as the Kuwait is the major traffic concern now happening in the UAE. And there is another way of traffic which is going to Maldives as well as to Turkey. So these are the areas which are covering with the quarantine. So when a passenger comes in to UAE, especially into Dubai or the Sharjah airports, he's been given a test. Once the test is done, he'll be getting a message to his mobile, so that for that period, he will have to sit in the hotel room. He cannot be going out anywhere. So once the message comes into his mobile, if it is negative, he can go as a tourist. He'll be going out the hotel and going for tours or whatever he wants. But if it is a positive, the government health authorities come in and they will take him up to a different property where they have already a staycation, something arranged for them who are turned positive. So it is basically that they don't keep him in the same hotel. They will move him out to a different area where they are being having adjusted for the positive cases. So it's basically the hotels are being accommodating 14 nights or 16 nights onward towards these destinations, whereas the hotels are taking special care for these clients who are staying in these hotels, and the government also is helping them to overcome this, any such incidents happen. So that way it is being covered.
I have seen, like you said, you have about 14, 15 product range, and I've seen you are still in continuous contact with your customers and what customer needs, and you are doing that kind of assurances or insurance policies. Now, how best can you describe your organization, Tune Protect EMEA?
Thank you, Mr. Jamal. I think it's a very apt question, given that today the new norm, as you or we also say, is that's the norm to move forward. I think, and from my perspective, what I've been seeing the evolution in the last 3 to 4 months, which was happening in the last 10 to 15 years, the evolution of e-commerce. But I think what I've seen in the last 3 to 4 months, that evolution has just fast-tracked to a different level. And today what we see, what is the new word they use is contactless. And interestingly, Sanjay, what you rightly said, I was just recollecting a memory that recently one of the travel industry partners leased his fleet out to a courier company to use that cars to deliver. I mean, that has become the new thing, right? Everything needs to be delivered at the doorstep. Like today, even if you go onto Zomato and you try to book a meal, it says contactless. Should we leave the package outside the door? Do you need cutlery? So it's become a very, very, e-commerce driven. And that's where, from our perspective, the vision we had established in this part of the world was digital. It was to be digital. It was to be 100% dependent on technology. And it's very, very difficult to do in the industry which we are part of. And that has led to, and I think that is one of the key things which has allowed us to present the variety of products which we have. And we also saw a huge opportunity, what we call complementary services. Now, complementary, It doesn't necessarily mean free. What I mean to say, what would complement a service, for example, a lounge access, a meet and assist, and things like that, we started adding in. But I think the core of the business was digital. We are a digital facilitator. We are a technology provider. Our vision and strategy is going to be, what we have established and what we're going to move forward is to ensure that we are able to get more and more content, which should support a normal user. Now, when I keep using the word user and I keep stressing the fact that we are 100% B2B or a travel industry entity, we will always work with the travel industry segment, and that's been our forte. And when I say travel industry, I obviously mean all segments: travel management companies, airlines, OTAs, and to be very honest, we're also talking to some non-travel partners, but again, a very B2B, B2C. And one of the key things which came out, which I always say, is content is king. Now, great content is king, but it has to be the right content. So, Mr. Jamal, to answer your question, we are in the digital part. And the second thing is to ensure we are able to get in the right content so that we can work with the travel industry partners across the region. Thank you, Mr. Jamal.
You're right. Content is the key to success, but it has to be relevant to the business area, right? Absolutely. Sanjay, next question to you is, what I wanted to ask you is, how long do you think the current scenario is going to be, and what you see the way forward will be?
Current scenario, as I said, Mr. Jamal, will always be there for a certain period of time. It will streamline itself as time goes by, depending on when the vaccine comes in. But then for our industry, we don't seem to be hit that much because the people have started getting back to normalcy. We see a lot of organizations coming into 80 to 90% of their staff coming back to offices. People started working from their offices. So I think potentially we are more on an incline. The entire transportation that we do, a lot of people, because of the pandemic, don't want to take the normal transport, the UE transport. So people rather prefer taking cars by themselves. Basically, all our cars are sanitized. All our cars are taken care of. So we provide sanitized vehicles, 24-hour roadside assistance. So that basically takes care of their needs. So at this point of time, they rather prefer to be safe rather than going in any crowded areas in modes of transport. So they rather prefer to have their own car. A lot of organizations are basically, what they're doing now is picking up buses from us where we do their passenger transports so that their staff are secure, safe, and they all are taking precautionary things, the entire steps to reach office. So we do their passenger transport, they do the staff transportation. So going forward, I think this is, as we said, this is going to be the now normal, the new normal, or the now normal now. So going forward, our industry seems to be on an incline. As Arijit said, insurance is a part of it that we also do. And I'm sure Arijit can also support us going forward. And that's a key area that we also cover insurance for everybody in terms of the accidents, in terms of the personal accidents, their vehicles. So we take a lot of share of everything and take care of them. So overall, we provide 100% transportation facility for them rather than they taking care of it. So that's where we are. And going forward, I'm sure our industry will have an incline.
I think if you should speak to Arijit, he will get you. I mean, he comes out of the box and create insurance packages. You know,
have to meet Arijit for sure.
For your customers, it's a good exercise for you to put some time on with Arijit, because I've seen him coming with different kind of products.
It's very good to have Arijit on the panel. At least we can at least get in touch and see how we can take business forward.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Jamal.
Thank you. Binoy, my question to you, how long you think the situation will come back to normal? What's your expectation, the pre-COVID scenario?
Yeah, that's where the borders open up. Like, we are coming into the European sectors. If you say that you are coming into the second wave, whereas the borders have been get closed again, and we are looking for a section where the borders get opened up. So once the borders gets opened up, then only we could come into a we could move from the standstill and come into a full-fledged operational sector. Whereas some areas, if you look into the tourism sector, the governments in particular areas are keen in opening up certain destinations. Like if you see now, recently Israel was a destination which is coming into UAE, which they were on lockdown, but still we could see people coming from different parts of the world into UAE. And even to other parts, they were traveling. Like if you see, Indonesia is been getting opened up now slowly. So there are areas where the sectors are getting opened up. Earlier, everybody was on locked in, and we used to do a lot of promotions saying, stay at home, don't come out, be in house. Certain promotions were been done. But now we go with promotions saying, come out of your house, be out, staycations are welcoming you, different destinations are welcoming you. So those kind of promotions are being done very regularly, and this is impacting us that certain destinations, borders are open, we will be getting into. So currently, the GCC part, if you take, the Saudi Arabia will be open from 1st of January, that's what they say. But we are very keen in getting into Saudi Arabia also from once it is opened. So there are destinations, Maldives is opened already, and most of the hotels are running full. So even if you take UAE itself, many hotels for the staycations are running full. So the occupancy level is going high, but revenue-wise, a bit standstill is still showing on either part of the way. So we need to look into that part where the revenues also will go high, so that the tourism sector will win a game where we were before earlier in the stages. So for me, it is coming into a coordination between like Sierra as well as insurance. When we all together join the hands, it will be a plus point for us to promote much more, because nowadays everyone asks, is your visa insured? Yeah, the visa is being insured. Is my rent-a-car insured? Yes, your car is insured. So it's in a way of combination where we help each other, and that comes into a destination which we could promote much more ahead.
Absolutely, Yeah, you're right. I think Israel for the next 2-3 years, because they haven't seen this part of the world, for them it's a great opportunity. You will see good numbers both ways. And as you said, Maldives has opened as a holiday destination. I could see people are traveling there. But as of now, what I've been, in my understanding, most of these airlines are operating to reaching their 30% of the utilization capacity in comparison with the pre-COVID scenario. Right. Thank you. Ori, sorry, because I used to call you Ori, but we are on a formal discussion. Arijit.
Yes, Mr. Jamal.
I remember reading one of your article in the Travel Talk edition, one of the Travel Talk editions, mitigate your risk when you travel. And it's a very interesting article. I wanted to ask you, what prompted you to write that article and what was the story behind it?
Thank you, Mr. Jamal. Yeah, it was quite an interesting, thought process, which actually came from the fact that once in March, when the lockdown started, a lot of travel industry leaders came to me, because knowing, and obviously I had a relationship with them for a long time, they came to me and knowing the business we were in. And a lot of them started asking us that, how do we protect the business? I mean, in different facets, because if you remember those months, in the travel industry, it was not only pressure was quite intense on the travel industry with regards to airline bookings, hotel bookings, refunds, and things like that. And that got me thinking, and I realized that today, what's our core, facility which we offer, or who are the people who are traveling, and that's the travelers. So I said to a lot of them that if you start protecting your travelers, your business automatically gets protected, because that's where the relationship is. And that's what got me thinking. And it was very interesting, because I just didn't want to write a very dry article. And Mr. Jamal, if you, since you read it, there is a mention of something we call a red telephone. So I kind of used that analogy in a very, very interesting manner, that reach out for the red telephone even before, you start the journey, or you want to facilitate a journey for your traveler. Make sure the traveler is protected before, during, and after. And that's the key to the business, because if you protect your traveler, you're protecting your business. And I think that was the most important message I was trying to give to to my friends and all the travel industry partners, that is the way. And as you can see, and I foresaw it in the month of March, that has become the new norm. That is the norm in terms of making sure that, interestingly, even when I joined, and I give you my personal experience, that before joining the company in 2014, I just had a car and a health insurance. That was it. I didn't think about anything else. But when I joined the company, I made sure that every member, be it even my parents abroad, anybody coming into the country had a protection. And I think that was what led me to ensure or to make sure that the travel industry partners are very well aware of what the next step is and what they should do. And I'm more than happy to sit down and see how best we can work together and help them out. Thank you, Mr. Jamal.
You see, that's a good thing within our industry. We are very closely connected, all the sectors within the industry. And, that's, I haven't seen in, maybe I have not worked in my life in India. I have seen only travel industry. Maybe that's the reason, but I know that this is one great advantage we have.
You're right, Mr. Jamal.
One more question, actually, and then after that, I want you to end it with the key takeaway to our audience from this discussion. My question is, I want to lease a car. Will you give me the best rate, if not free?
Anytime, Mr. Jamal, anytime. You're most welcome. Our cars, as I said, our cars are all brand new, 2020, and we're also buying the 2021, which means at no extra cost, you're actually getting a brand new vehicle at your doorstep. Sanitized too.
Thank you. And what's the key takeaway to our audience from you in this?
Every cloud has a silver lining, as everybody says. So we look at that silver lining. We need to go forward. The past is past. I mean, it's time for us to move on, get into the now normal, go as the trend comes. And I think we are in a very, very good place, situated geographically. UAE has been one of the leading countries in taking precautionary measures earlier than anybody else. So I think a lot of things have come back to normalcy. So I think the silver lining is we just need to go forward, look positive, and go ahead in life. And then I think that's where the country is moving, the airline and every industry seems to be going forward. I think that's the most positive thing that we see here.
Thank you, Sanjay. And Binoy, during the past 8 months, I used to be, prior to that, I used to travel a lot, at least 2 trips in a month, business and rarely on a vacations. And now 8 months, I haven't gone anything. But having said that, I did some staycations. It was, it was needed to get rejuvenated. Now I'm thinking to go outside for a week. And what destination within the region you can recommend? That will, I don't want to go 7 days quarantine for a 2 days.
There's a new destination come up with Serbia, which has been opened up for the new destination, which you get for a weekend, 3.5 hours flight from here. That is the new destination which come up with the free COVID test and all. So that is a destination which we could get into. And secondly, we need to be precautions where we are not sure whether if something goes wrong, again, they might go into a lockdown because we find the same challenge across. But a level of confidence in us will create much more eager traveling. If you would like to travel, I'm very happy to give a package into the Maldives, which might be a very good destination for you.
What's your key takeaway for our audience?
Yeah, the level of confidence we create in the industry, that the more people will be willing to travel across. And even if you do the staycations also, we do have very good packages into, like people who are staying in Dubai might not have been to Ras Al Khaimah or the other Emirates, which is much more easy for them to have a drive. with the insurance and with the rent-a-car taken from them. So it's much more easier. Or else we do transportation also for them into across the UAE, everywhere we do. So that's the plus area which we're looking into.
All right, it's your turn. What's the key takeaway to the audience?
Mr. Jamal, as listening to both Sanjay and Binoy, I think the most important thing, which I keep telling even all the industry partners and my team and my counterpart in Malaysia, is that we have to be positive and it has to be confidence. You know, we have to have the confidence in what we are doing today, and we have to resonate that confidence to our travelers, because I think that's the key. The travelers should, because that's the core of our business. And the travelers have to feel confident that the products and the services and the facilities we are getting there, and as you rightly said, it's sanitized, and in my terms, we call it protected and assured. I think that's the key. And if you're able to bring that message out, and yes, I think there has to be a certain amount of, what do I say, cautiousness, totally understandable. But it's all about giving that traveler, the family who's traveling, that peace of mind. And confidence is the only way to go forward. Thank you, Mr. Jamal.
Thank you. Yeah, I could go on asking you guys questions, but unfortunately the time as allotted is ending. During my, I think I'm coming to 39th years of travel industry career. I could closely relate this to probably the September 11th incident. And immediately after that also, we came to a travel standstill. It was not a lockdown, it was completely locking. And then slowly new security systems has put in place, airport infrastructure has changed. And then we got used to it. We were traveling more often than prior to September 11. With all that security system is confirmed. I mean, within the system, it was available. So having said that, it's maybe the now normal, but for me, it is going to be the normal. Airports has been changed, their infrastructures. Airlines has done a lot of work. Everyone within the system has geared up to, entertain travelers, accommodate travelers, following all the security and safety norms. So this is going to stay, like you guys all touched upon passenger confidence. This is something, human being is resilient in nature. The confidence will come by itself. You guys stay positive, and thank you for joining this panel discussion. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jamal.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jamal.
Thank you all.